Okay, so this is my review of the MSI GS66. Now, I had the engineering sample of this guy for like 2 months, but they told me to hold off on the review of it because they wanted to send a retail unit before I did any kind of performance evaluation on it. And I'm glad I did because there were some notable differences between that engineering sample and this thing. So this is redesigned and revamped for this year. It's completely new. Externally, internally, the whole thing is quite different. The first thing that you'll notice is the color and kind of design of it. It's all black. Is that picking up? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you can see it. Last year's model and the year before it, the G65, it had a gold trim around the edges, which made it look different from everyone else's stuff, but it didn't really live up to the whole stealth moniker because these devices are called GS65 Stealth and GS66 Stealth. So this is a much more stealthier look to it. It's like all black, matte black on the top and on the inside. Now, even the logo up on the front, you'll see, is like, you can barely see it. You gotta, there, right? You gotta tilt it just right for it to be visible. So it's cool, it's kind of muted now. I much prefer this look. The ports have also changed a little bit. It's got 2 USB-Cs, one of them supporting Thunderbolt 3, 3 USB-As, an Ethernet jack, and the AC adapter is still mounted on the side of the device, so that can sometimes get in the way. In terms of build quality, this is a topic where I feel like I have to go a little bit more in depth. When I did my original review of the GS65, that was 2 years ago, that was a device that was relatively unique, right? At the time, a lot of companies out there were still making those big, thick boy gaming laptops, and the GS65 was new. It was unique, and it was one of the early thin and light gaming devices out there, and they did a really good job at the time for what that thing delivered. Nowadays, there are a lot of good thin and light gaming laptops out there. So the bar has been raised in terms of quality and expectations for what a device like this should deliver to the consumer. And this year, I would say the GS66 is good, but not great. So let's talk about build first. It feels solid. There's nothing I would complain in terms of its structural strength. Like if you press on anywhere on the chassis, it feels sturdier this year than the original GS65. And the hinge on the laptop looks like it's been updated. This looks to be like a better design, but the finish of this device is a little lackluster. So as an example, on the front edge of this laptop, there is a plastic trim that's kind of on the bevel of the front edge, and they put it there, I'm assuming, for comfort, right? So when you're typing or gaming, your wrist is not sitting on like a hard or sharp metal edge, but the fit and finish of this plastic trim isn't great. The sides of it jut out a little so you can scratch yourself when you're using the device, and the bottom panel doesn't feel finished. Like there's sharper edges along all of the bottom trim, and it just feels less polished than I would expect a device like this to be. Not to say that it's poorly made, like not at all. It's just that in comparison to what other companies are bringing in this kind of price range, in that premium thin and light gaming laptop range, this doesn't stick out as being like the best built device. And I think a lot of it comes from the fact that it's still not a unibody design, right? This is still taking aluminum and folding the stuff to build the chassis. The keyboard, for the most part, remains quite similar. There's a little more travel on the keys, and there's a few tweaks here and there, like the bottom right function key has a control key attached to it now. The mechanism is a little soft, like I wouldn't call it spongy, but it's not like a super snappy response. The trackpad is big. It's like a wide trackpad. They had this last year on the GS65, and it's got a glass surface. It's a solid trackpad. There's also 2 speaker cutouts, like on the left and right of the keyboard deck, and we'll get into it, but there's actually speakers that are double-sided, like there's speakers that project up and down at the same time. So the best part of this laptop, like the thing that I love the most about it, is without a doubt the screen. I've talked about this in a previous video where I just talked about how good this screen was. It's a fantastic screen. So it's a 300 hertz refresh rate, but the response time is close to 3 milliseconds, and it's fast. Like it feels noticeably faster than most gaming laptop screens. It's bright and has pretty good color accuracy. I really like this screen. I think this is its best feature. And if I could just take this panel and whatever they have driving it and just stuff it into any gaming laptop, I would. This would be my panel of choice for any gaming laptop this year. The webcam's up top, and it supports Windows Hello, so you can log in with just your face biometrics. The other big changes on this device are on the inside. So last year and the year before that, they had a flipped motherboard. So if you wanted to upgrade anything or replace anything because it was broken. It was a nightmare. It was really difficult. This is a regular laptop. You open it up and you have access to everything. Your 2 RAM slots, your 2 SSDs, your Wi-Fi card. You can repair and replace to your heart's content. There's a big battery down here. It's 99.9 watt hours. It's literally the biggest I've seen in a laptop. Anything bigger than this and you'd be a criminal getting onto a plane. But they added that like extra 0.9 to just, maybe it was a bit of a, like a spec war with other brands, but it's the biggest. And I'm getting around 7 hours of battery life. The AC adapter's 230 watts, so it's a little bit bigger than the previous generations. The speakers, remember I was talking about those earlier? They're on the side, beside the battery, and they project out through those little cutouts on the keyboard deck, as well as down below here. They sound disappointingly mediocre. I thought they would they sound better than the GS65, but they still sound like your standard gaming laptop speakers. Like, what is with gaming laptops? Like, why are you spending the energy and effort and all the resources to make a double-sided speaker? Why don't you can't you just put like a regular, good, single-sided speaker into these things? Come on. All right, the fans up top have been upgraded. They're supposedly thinner fans, but they move more air than the previous generation. And the thermal performance is quite good. It's not perfect. Like when you benchmark it hard, you are going to hit some thermal limits. I would say it's similar, if not slightly better than the 2019 GS65, which was better than the 2018 model. It doesn't support undervolting. Again, this is another 10th gen Intel chip that I've noticed doesn't support undervolting. Some of the comments in my previous video were saying that it might be a precautionary thing from Intel in response to plundervolt, but if that's actually the case and we don't have access to undervolts in these 10th gen gaming laptop CPUs, it's kind of weird. Like if you think about these thin and light devices, that's a really nice tool to have, to be able to drop that voltage to lower temperatures a little bit. If they remove that, if that's actually gone permanently from any of the 10th gen chips, that's gonna be tough, right? Because I feel like a lot of the enthusiasts out there really like that ability to lower voltage. But that's what we have here, a pretty good thermal system that can probably be improved through repasting it, but not through undervolting. The gaming performance is quite good. That 10th gen CPU combined with that RTX Super Max-Q GPU push out some really nice frame rates. Combine that with the 300 Hz, 3 millisecond screen, and you get one of the best gaming experiences you can possibly achieve on a laptop right now. It is a really fast machine. I will say though that in this day and age, like you just can't get 300 frames per second on almost any game. The one game I would say is like Counter-Strike, if you still play that. But if you're purchasing this laptop, don't buy it for the refresh rate on the screen. You can get it for the response time, like the 3 millisecond response time is fantastic, but you have to be playing some weird games to be able to hit 300 frames per second, or some regular games with just absolutely awful graphics. Now, I want to close off this video with a conversation about the price. This is a premium thin and light gaming laptop, so the pricing on this is always going to be expensive. Now, 2 years ago when they came out with the GS65, like the predecessor to this, I feel like the price of that was expensive, but fair, like because no one else was making thin and light gaming laptops. Nowadays, this is not as rare. This is a formula that a lot of companies have adopted and a lot of companies are doing well. So to see this thing priced at $1,600 isn't bad, it's just that other companies have caught up. So we're seeing brands now deliver something similar with better build quality and slightly better pricing. But overall, really good device, especially for gamers that are looking for that competitive edge with that 3 millisecond screen. It does make a difference for people that are looking for something that's super fast. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it. I'll see you guys next time.